Thank you for coming. This is our introduction to directed picking for automatic allocations for the ACS multi-bin warehouse management software. We will select some inventory here to analyze it to see what we can do to automatically ship some of this inventory using our directed picking features. We'll start here with this lot number, and we can talk about the different location types that we offer, the zones of our warehouse, and how we can designate some pick restrictions in the system to help refine which inventory is actually selected to pick. In this case, you can see some red down here, and that's indicating that the inventory that's in this quality control bin location is disallowed from sales order. In order to do directed picking, we can designate a few options on to whether or not we're going to do it during picking sheet printing or automatically as we enter the sales order. There are other options too. In this case, I'm going to generate some pick sheets. I'll select a handful of orders here. And as I print the pick sheets in this case, it's going to go ahead and allocate my inventory from the best bin location and reserve that inventory to the sales order and present those onto the pick sheet. In this case, from bin location B30M, we have this item. It's pulling a case pack from that bin location, quantity 1 of each of that, and so on. This is another sales order, which is doing more of the same, and pulling from the primary bin location first and other bin locations. This template I'm using here is the one that we use for wave picking for a sales order. So it's in bin location order. You can choose to have it in bin location order, or you can use the sort code in bin location maintenance in order to have any setup that you'd like. Perhaps you want to go zigzagging back and forth in an aisle as you pick. And here's another sales order as we go through these different sales orders. So the inventory is now reserved for the sales order. If I were to go into inventory maintenance, I can see here how there's some inventory allocated to the orders. And in this case, you can see on order 185, 10 pieces has been reserved from bin location 10L. We were able to print that onto the pick sheet. And then as we go to invoice or use shipping data entry, the allocations will pull through directly into the invoice and shipment. In this case, all I did was select the sales order. It pulled through the hard allocations that were reserved on the sales order. The picker would pick that inventory, and then when you go to invoice it, it will pull that information across, default the quantity shipped, and pull those lot numbers for you. If there's any exceptions or changes to what was picked, you can make those changes right here in the invoice. The way we do this, in the core of the system, starts off from options. So under inventory setup and then multi-bin options, we can go ahead and look and start the settings for directed picking. In here, these are the options that the system will use company-wide. Then you can override them in product line maintenance and then item maintenance too. So each individual item, if you want, can have their own settings for directed picking. Here in this case, I've chosen to pull goods from my primary bin locations first and then decided on the kind of algorithm that I prefer. I can choose to pull goods from non-lot serial goods in first in, first out as they were received in bin locations. And there are these other allocation possibilities too. Least quantity in a bin location, user-defined way with this sort code. These none options make it so that the system will only pull goods from the primary bin location. And this is the case where you're going to rotate inventory more readily into the primary bin locations. For lot serial goods, I could do it by lot number, lot receipt date, expiration date is used, which is first expired, first out, and that's used with our add-on for expiration date control. The other options that we can set that can be used with the system is to pull goods first from certain areas of the warehouse. So here it's looking at all my pick locations, my regular pick locations, and then I can choose to pull goods in different priorities of sections of my warehouse, floor locations, other locations, overflow, and staging. So it's probably a good idea not to include staging because we would want to pull goods, for goods that are ready to go. Staging goods tend to be those goods that you just received in or just produced. And so by calling those locations staging type, they'll immediately be excluded from picking and allocable in picking. Other options that we provide here are allocate kits, and if they can ship complete. So this means that all the inventory for the item must be present in order for it to be allocable for the kit. For license plate, for case packs and pallets, we can choose to optimize best case pack and best pallet that can be sold to a customer. If we, for example, sold 1,005 units and some of it's made up of pallets and others for case packs and individual eaches, an option like this set on would help optimize the best package that can be sold to the customer and allocated automatically for you. The options over here to jump to overflow for unit and measurement, these options give you the ability to select the options in an item to say for a certain quantity to automatically get the goods out of an overflow area instead of pulling it from the regular pick area. If I were to go into item maintenance, I can view these settings to jump to overflow. And that's right here. Minimum quantity to automatically allocate from overflow area. In the setup of a bin location, we can set up pick restrictions. In this case, I am selecting quality control. I can disallow all the inventory from sales order by checking this checkbox. This makes it so that all inventory can't be selected either manually or automatically, not unless I have override rights designated in role maintenance and security events role maintenance. This option disallows selection of manufacturing. That's for bill of materials and work order. I can restrict inventory in this bin location for certain customers or customer types, and that way the system can't reassign inventory manually or automatically as I'm doing sales orders and printing pick sheets and allocating inventory. The date inventory available after a certain date, this allows the system to hold your inventory until you want to release it. Maybe you're doing that for promotional or for other reasons. So we refer to these options as pick restrictions, and pick restrictions apply to directed picking as the system goes through, determines the best goods to ship on an order based on the other options that we set in the system. And then finally, to talk a little bit more about the options that we can do in the system, we were speaking earlier about directed picking options that you can do for directed picking. A couple other things to note. In order to turn on directed picking in the first place, we recommend highly that you set it up in a test company, perhaps copy your current company into a test company code, set your options, prepare your pick sheets with any graphics that you desire, and then go ahead and proceed. In order to turn on directed picking, we need to turn on the options here under pick sheets so we can auto-allocate. By default, the system will look like this, to where it's disallowed directed picking. So we would uncheck that and then click on these two check boxes. This one indicates to auto-allocate inventory from the bin locations as you print the pick sheets. And then as the pick sheets are printed, this option says to go ahead and only print allocated inventory on the pick sheet and not to show the other available inventory on the pick sheet. Another side note to speak about is our wave pick sheets that we can do for sales order. By using the standard form option here in wave pick sheet, when you print the pick sheets, it will use the rows template. And if you're creating new templates, and you'll see the rows template, and using that template will be an automatic wave pick sheet for you for that individual sales order. The bin location versus sort code option, this option right here will sort the wave pick sheet and bin location order, and this one will do it in a user-defined way. So there's sort code and bin location maintenance, and you can refine exactly how you want to pick going through your bin locations by using that sort code. One other thing to note is the option to pre-allocate and sales order. Right now it's set to yes, to auto-allocate, but there's another option in there to auto-allocate as you enter the sales order. That way, as you enter every sales order, it will auto-allocate the inventory in the background. You have to be sure that you want to use that option. Many businesses are trying to produce pick sheets around the time they're trying to ship the orders. So if you're not shipping the orders at the same time that you're entering them, you might be reserving inventory away from other orders. So you can experiment with the system, definitely in a test company, and choose to do other options as you desire. One other thing to speak about is the use of Visual Integrator and to auto-allocate the inventory also. There's an option in the manual designated to automatically allocate the sales order. And I think the option is referred to that as auto-allocate sales order. And if you import to that field, as the import goes, it will automatically allocate. You can use this with business object interfacing too. This is the discussion for directed picking, automatic allocations. We appreciate you working with our system. Thank you very much.